There are a lot of games that try to be stylish. They chase trends, they throw filters and flair at the screen hoping something will stick. But Jet Set Radio doesn't just have style, it is style. Released by Sega in the year 2000 for the Sega Dreamcast, Jet Set Radio is a game about rebellion, rhythm, and graffiti. You play as a group of rollerblading outlaws skating through a vibrant city, tagging walls, evading cops, and spreading your message through art. At first glance, it may just seem like a quirky arcade game with flashy visuals, but play it for a while and you start to realize something. The game's entire soul is built around its aesthetic. Every color, every beat, every turn you make on those skates is part of a bigger expression of freedom. And that's what I want to talk about today. How Jet Set Radio doesn't need deep mechanics or cinematic storytelling to be memorable. It's a game that perfects style over substance, and in doing so, it becomes something truly special. Jet Set Radio's world doesn't try to look realistic. It doesn't care about physics or lighting or unbelievable textures. Instead, it embraces a comic book-like cel-shaded art style that turned heads when it first released. At the time, nothing looked like this. Every building, every character, every graffiti tag was outlined with a thick, bold line and drenched in color. It was loud, chaotic, and alive. The game takes place in a fictional city inspired by Tokyo, a place overflowing with energy, noise, and movement. Streets feel tight, packed with pedestrians and billboards, while rooftops stretch out like playgrounds for skaters. But what's really interesting is that this world doesn't just look like a playground, it feels like one. The exaggerated art direction gives you permission to play, to break rules, to see the world not as a set of obstacles, but as an open canvas. When you're skating through Shibuya-cho, or grinding along power lines in Benten, you're not just exploring, you're performing. Every spray of paint, every leap from a rooftop is an act of expression. And that's the genius of Jet Set Radio style. It makes you feel like a part of the art itself. Then there's the music, because you can't talk about Jet Set Radio without talking about its amazing soundtrack. Hideki Naganuma's work on this game is legendary. A blend of funk, hip-hop, and electronic chaos that somehow fits perfectly with the game's rhythm. Every track feels like a pulse running through the city, keeping everything in motion. You can't stand still in Jet Set Radio. The music pushes you forward. Even if the controls feel clunky by modern standards, the flow is undeniable. You grind rails, bounce off walls, and leap between buildings to a beat that never lets you rest. And the way the sound design works alongside the visuals, the hiss of spray paint, the shouts of the police, the rhythmic footfalls of your skates, it all combines into something that feels almost musical. It's not about mastering combos or perfect precision. It's about getting lost in the groove. That's something so few games manage to do, make you forget about the mechanics and just move. What really ties it all together though, is the attitude. Jet Set Radio isn't just stylish for the sake of it. Its style means something. This is a game about rebellion, about self-expression against control. The story might be simple, but the message is clear. Youth, creativity, and individuality are worth fighting for. You're not saving the world in some grand epic. You're fighting for your right to paint it. You're skating against authority, against censorship, against a world that wants to erase colour and replace it with conformity. Even the gameplay loop reflects that philosophy. Missions start with the city clean and controlled, and by the time you're done it's messy, loud, and covered in your art. You've literally reshaped the world in your image. That's something powerful. Especially for a game from the early 2000s. It captures that sense of freedom and youthful defiance in a way that feels timeless. Looking back, Jet Set Radio might not have the depth or complexity of modern open world games. Its controls can be awkward, its missions repetitive, and yet none of that really matters. Because the game's substance is its style. It's not about what you do, it's about how it feels while you're doing it. When you boot up Jet Set Radio today, it's still electric. The music still slaps, the visuals pop, and the energy still hits just as hard. That's not nostalgia, that's timeless design. Jet Set Radio reminds us that sometimes games don't need realism or massive worlds to be great. Sometimes all they need is a strong identity, a world so confident in its look, sound, and vibe that you don't help but fall into it. And that's why, even decades later, its aesthetic remains unmatched. Because while most games chase realism, Jet Set Radio chased cool, and it caught it.
Let's go! Yo!
What up, kid?
Sweet! You bet!
That's right.